Hello, fellow revolutionaries, Bernie-crats, and progressives of New Orleans. It's Larry the Table Guy again, aka Larry Dunn. You may know me from organizing Bernie marches with Matt, and organizing for the Women's March and Climate March with Our Revolution NOLA. The reason I did all this was to affect policy at the federal level. Now that we have lost at the federal level and find ourselves in a rural versus urban electoral map, the time has come to wage political revolution at the local city level right here in New Orleans.
Freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose.
I've got nothing to lose, and that makes me free. Like most of you watching this video, I will likely be dead or imprisoned by the end of this decade, due to the coming Civil War, concentration camps, mass imprisonment, the loss of constitutional rights, of democratic rights, of consumer rights, of human rights, of environmental rights, rampant pollution, rampant deregulation, the lack of health care, and the worldwide systematic assassination of truth-telling journalists like myself. My next bout of homelessness is due to begin early next year. By subscribing to this video podcast, you will be able to watch as my health and life expectancy decline rapidly due to the lack of access to good food when I move into my van. And who doesn't love disaster porn? Accepting this fate makes me free. Free to tell the truth, even to the powerful. The reason why you can trust my reporting and my opinions is because I'm a regular working class citizen just like you. I'm not some high-paid suit, talking head mockingbird that just spits out talking points. In fact, I'm an underpaid, mission-driven worker with no savings, nor assets, nor children to be held hostage. And I'm completely estranged from my entire family. All right, here we are at Lee Square, or Lee Circle. And here comes the patriotic protesters. And the throwbacks to ancient history are here to stop progress. The traitors to our nation who fought against the Union. The terrorists who are here to stop free speech. So here I am amongst the ancient throwbacks to ancient history, the backwards thinkers who believe that freedom is not a good thing. They fought against the freedom of many African Americans across this country, and now they're here to wipe out our First Amendment rights once again. They're here to stand up for the traitors to our nation who fought against our union, who fought against we the people of the United States of America. Instead, they wanted to divide us into two countries and fight against the freedom of our citizens. Take them down! Take them down! Take it down! Take it down! So as you can see, their numbers are pretty sparse. I mean, you know, people who hold on to backward history of against the values of our country are small in number, so that's good. You can see that they're wildly outnumbered by the actual patriots of our to Scalise Town Hall. So they're not allowing parking close to the event. They've got the roads cut off close to the event, but you can see all this parking is taken up, and all these people are walking the distance. They're parking, you know, miles away to be able to go to this thing because they've got the parking lot blocked off, and this neighborhood here has a lot of no parking areas and parking lots that are just for tenants. So it's really hard for me to find parking, but I'm gonna keep at it till I do. Well, I had to park pretty far away from the event. I'm actually on the other side of I-10. I found a suburban street where I could park here, and but not to worry, I thought ahead because I knew this would be a problem. So I brought my scooter, and away we go. All right, we're going, walking around from the other side of the building over to this side where he's due to come out.
Everywhere we go! Everywhere we go! Cassidy needs to know! Cassidy needs to know! Who we are! Who we are! So we show him! So we show him!
All right, just got the word he's going out the front, so we gotta fly on the scooter. All right, we're back around front. We don't know if he's gonna come out that door or out that door. But one thing's for sure, he's afraid of his constituents because he's hiding from us.
He did have a stack of note cards, and he took some questions from that. But then people came up also with questions, and also before it even started, people said, "Okay, since he's not here, this is my question that I have." So we started our own town hall before he came, because he was really fully 25 minutes late, and it's stupid. You know, by that time people were really upset. You know, they knew you have this for 60 minutes, and you come 25 minutes late. Of course everybody is upset after we waited here for 2.5 hours outside in the sun. But it was a lot of back and forth. He did start with a question that was on a card, and then people insisted, "No, come on, answer the question," or you know, asked more about it. And then he said, "Okay, this one is about climate change," and they insisted they wanted to know more about education, and so they nailed him more on education, and then.
So he didn't answer the climate change
No,
question?
he did not get to, right. I said, "Oh yeah, that's my question." And it's like, "Oh man," and then they were like, "Oh please, can I ask this first?" "Okay, go ahead." Oh.
So he never addressed.
No, climate change was
justice or
not.
climate change.
No, it was not. But I mean, he's just really evasive. He wanted to show a PowerPoint of his healthcare a plan, and people say, "No, we can read it online. We know about that. We don't want that." I mean, don't come here and show us a PowerPoint. You know, answer our questions. And people were saying, "Hey, you know, don't read from the cards. Let us ask the questions." And so I mean, it did calm down a little bit, but people were quite upset. And, I mean, one guy was thrown out. He kept really shouting. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty walkers in there. You know, we had signs. You know, before they were telling us you can't bring in any signs, even 8 by 11 signs. So, I mean, we folded our signs up, put them in our pockets, and I mean, I have all the signs that I wanted to bring in.
So the signs made it in, huh?
Yeah. I mean, dare them to look in our pockets here. Yeah, I mean, and so we were showing up signs who were. I mean, they start with a prayer. You know, thanking Jesus. You know, in the name of Jesus. I'm seriously, and people, you know, quite a few people stood up you know, during the prayer, yes, and booed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty wild.
Wading through waist-deep water over by the lows. Entergy is not there fixing people's houses, replacing their cars. That's an externality. We've got to stop burning carbon. Entergy is not going to increase our pumping capacity for us. We're going to have to pay for increased pumping capacity because of more moisture in the air from more carbon. We have to, the city council has to decide they're going to support solar with battery. I mean, Germany has done it. California is doing it. We can do it here.
This new plant will not only pollute the air in the east and lower air quality in our city, but will emit greenhouse gases that contribute to climate change, which collectively increases our exposure to extreme weather activity. As New Orleanians, we are not strangers to the effects of a warming planet and need to move to clean, renewable energy as soon as possible for the future of our city, as well as our planet.
Right across that fence, right next to the Mississippi River, is Hurricane Nate. You can see it coming down. You can see it coming down the bike trail. Here it comes, right down the bike trail, and it's here! Larry the table guy. And Hurricane Nate. Being a marijuana felon for 20 years was sure to keep me underemployed, underpaid, and in poverty for a lifetime. Self-medicating for migraines while I was an honors physics student at the University of Cincinnati cut too much into pharmaceutical profits, and I'm a free thinker. Working class intellectuals must be destroyed by any means necessary, after all. I don't have much income, but what I do have is crushing student loan debt, medical bills, and a decent credit rating. I pay my rent and I pay my bills with my tenuous, meager income. But that keeps me broke and constantly working. I need to get off this treadmill so that I can at least do something meaningful with the remaining 2 years of my life. Poverty and debt slavery is my punishment for devoting my life to a pursuit of knowledge rather than the pursuit of money. At all costs, I want to know things. I want to see the real world, and we can no longer depend on the corporate media monopoly to inform us about the real world. They miss the biggest stories of this moment in history, like global warming, net neutrality, and the stealing of our elections. As Larry the Table Guy, I organized several marches and events for the Bernie campaign and our revolution. Hi, my name is Larry the Canvas Guy. Hey, who here would like to see a living wage in this country? Yeah! Who here would like to have universal health care? Yeah! How about universal education? Yeah! And some tariffs would be nice too, huh? Yeah! What about a planet to live on? Yeah, and a planet to live on. That's the point. You may have noticed that the mainstream media either didn't cover these events, or when they did, they drastically underestimated the numbers and overplayed the danger.
Including here in New Orleans, where hundreds came out, this time again for this Friday. There might be about 100 more, or several hundred more that are coming out. Some of them will be here at Duncan Plaza here. And some of the organizers that I spoke with say that they do not want a repeat of any of the vandalism against the buildings and some of the monuments that they saw last year. The swearing in of the 45th President of the United States will be historic. But this inauguration may go down in history, notably for something else.
We're not out to cause any trouble. We're just out to make a statement to the Trump regime.
Groups all over the country plan to speak out against President-elect Donald Trump.
He has pushed all the wrong buttons. He's attacked immigrants, he's attacked women, he's attacked minorities.
Here in New Orleans, a coalition of groups will rally near City Hall and then march through the French Quarter this Friday.
Widely known throughout the city. And I think there's enough people who are angry with the elections that we'll have a good turnout.
But it won't be over Friday.
We're going to set up in Washington Square Park at 1 p.m.
Lawrence Duncan is helping to organize a March for Revolution on Saturday.
And he wants to actually change our media laws so that he can sue people in the media for, investigating him or whatever if it shows him in an unfavorable light.
Duncan also expects a large turnout on Saturday to take a stand peacefully. But the concern is that things could turn violent or become destructive.
Really what the event is, we look at, protecting each side's constitutional right and allowing each side to be able to exercise their free speech.
New Orleans police say they'll be standing by and ready to take on whatever happens.
You got an issue. Make your sign and join in.
Now, those organizers say that they've got the permits and they're going to get police escorts, and while their members feel passionate about this, there's really no way to gauge how many people would turn out. And again, police say that they will be ready, but we're going to have to wait and see what happens this time. Reporting in downtown New Orleans, Jacqueline Quinn, Eyewitness News.
Jacqueline, thank you very much. Well, back in November, Trump's victory over Hillary Clinton led to several nights of protests in New Orleans and even some cases of vandalism. Windows at the Chase Bank on St. Charles were smashed, and graffiti was painted on several around Lee's Circle and Gallier Hall. The protesters also burned an effigy of Donald Trump.
The right-wing fascist media company, Sinclair Corporation, is buying up national and local news stations across the country. Soon, they will own 74% of all broadcast media.
The lack of nuance is a function of the profit motive, and it started in 1987. And the way it works is that in the 1920s, as radio stations were starting to proliferate around the country, it was obvious that there needed to be some regulation of them because they were interfering with each other's signals. And so the FCC was set up, and then the FCC came up with this set of rules for content on radio that was referred to as the Fairness Doctrine. And what the Fairness Doctrine said was that in order to keep your license to broadcast over the public airways, because the public airways are part of the commons, we all own all that frequency spectrum. It's the property of we the people. So if you're going to use that, then what you have to do is program in the public interest. That's exact language from the Fairness Doctrine. Now, programming in the public interest does not mean if you've got an hour of Thom Hartmann, you have to have an hour of Rush Limbaugh, which is how the right-wingers always presented it. What it meant was that you have to actually give people news. You have to program in the public interest. And so the news divisions of all three networks constantly lost money. And because it was the price of maintaining your station license was that you carried news. One of my first jobs in radio was as a news guy. I did it for years for WITL in Lansing. WITL, AM and FM, Lansing, Michigan. And, there were 5 of us who worked in the newsroom there. They lost money on that news operation, but we were not even allowed to talk to the sales guys. There was an absolute firewall between sales and news. And then in 1987, Ronald Reagan stopped enforcing the Fairness Doctrine. He said, we're not going to pay attention to that anymore. It stayed on the books, by the way, until last year. Barack Obama took it off the books finally. But it stayed on the books all that time, but it simply was not enforced. And as a result of that, In 87, when this was announced, within a few months, the entertainment division of CBS took over the news division. And then a few months after that, the same thing happened at NBC and ABC. And so now all of the news operations in the United States that are run by for-profit corporations, ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, CNN, Fox, all of them, Fox is perhaps the exception because it's owned by a billionaire who can do whatever the hell he wants. And while they want ratings, they're more interested in indoctrinating enough people that they can gain political power. But the rest of the stations are trying to make money. And in trying to make money, what they're doing is they're saying, what are the stories that are going to draw people's eyes? What gets the eyeballs? So they're always going to go for the titillating stuff. They're always going to go for the sensational stuff. And they will. And it used to be, for example, that prior to 87, if you saw a news report on, say, Obamacare or something, it would be filled with detail. They'd break down all the complexity. They'd say, here's how it used to be. Here's how it is. In fact, if you want to see a great example of this, go onto YouTube and just put into their search engine, Daniel Shore reporting on Nixon's health care plan. There's a great little 5-minute segment between Daniel Shore and Walter Cronkite about all the details of it. This is how we used to do news. We used to inform people. But now the information part has been completely deleted. It's been completely deleted from the news, or largely deleted from the news, and replaced with two things: sports and soap opera. Because people love sports. Who's up, who's down, who's ahead, who's behind. And so the entire election, for example, that we just had, it was all played as a sports game. Who's in charge? Who's on top? Who's going? Number one, sports. The other, soap opera. Who has their feelings hurt? What did Trump say about Ted Cruz's daddy? All this kind of stuff. But don't talk about issues, because issues are contentious. Issues cause the people, if we talked about global warming, we would have the fossil fuel industry threatening to pull their advertising. If we talked about the military-industrial complex, we would have Boeing and Lockheed Martin threatening to pull their advertising. If we talk about, corporate mergers and how they're destroying the landscape of small businesses across the United States, then we would have problems because, the owner of CNN, Time Warner, is trying to merge with AT&T, and MSNBC is owned by a giant semi-monopolistic company, Comcast. So that's how we got where we are.
Mainstream broadcast media can no longer be trusted to educate and inform us in an unbiased manner. They are beholden to advertisers. Those Coke industry ads aren't trying to sell you tankers and pipelines. That's hush money for the media in the form of advertising dollars. In times like these, I am reminded of Jello Biafra's mantra. Become the media. Hear ye, hear ye. Folks, we've got to go back to peer-to-peer, citizen-to-citizen, door-to-door town crier reporting. Ever notice how the candidates with the most money have the worst policies? Vote for action, number 69, Action Andre. People are hungry for an alternative to the mainstream corporate narrative, and that is creating a huge media vacuum that we could fill if only we had the time. Since you are paying me to produce this show, I am beholden only to you, my viewers. So instead of asking advertisers to invest in my activism, journalism, and video productions, let's just cut out the middlemen and make the investment ourselves. Imagine replacing the corporate narrative with a grassroots narrative that we the people made. If I or anyone could do activism full time, then we could build our skills at canvassing and phone banking and get good at them as our professions. Recently, I have been made painfully aware of the limits of my power and abilities as a broke dude. These days, money is the great limiter of our freedom and dreams. How many times have you heard or said, I would love to get more involved if only I had the time and money? Now, we all know that time is money. So if you have enough money, ergo, you have enough time to learn the issues and get involved and show up to the meetings and events and edit the video afterward. Most of us working folk don't have enough time to even get out the vote for our candidate. So how can we march for $15 per hour and higher wages for all when we are too busy working 2 jobs for peanuts? We can't buy enough freedom to buy our freedom. How many times have you missed an event you really wanted to attend because you were too busy working? There's a revolution going on right now and a local election. Events and meetings are happening every day now, yet most of us missed most of them because we are too busy working.
But one, we need to acknowledge that it's a problem. And a lot of times in our city, what we do, we act like it's no problem, everything's great, but it's not. And as it relates to our children who are living with disability, we do have to ensure that they have full access. And I am looking into how the city, and really city council, now since I'm still on the council till May, what type of legislation can we even pass that can ensure some continuity and set some policy if you're operating a public school within the city of New Orleans, as it relates to not only, as it relates to special needs, but even some other practices that we know are happening in some of these schools. Here, and even Harriet Tubman, they won't let, no mirrors in the bathrooms because the kids they're wasting too much time looking at themselves, that sort of thing. When you know mirrors, when you go look, it's a self-esteem piece. You feel like, I know me, if I feel like I have a hair in my chin, and I can't look to get it out, I don't feel like looking anyone in the face or in the eye. You don't feel confident. But it's things like that that I know are happening across the city in some of the schools that should not happen. But we need to set some type of a policy to where, no matter where you are in our city, in which school, that there will be some continuity.
Good evening. I am J.H. Banks, and I am a candidate for City Council District B. And just briefly, I'm a lifelong resident of New Orleans. I am 57 years old, married, and work in District B every day. I'm the director of the Drive YMCA School of Commerce. I'm in the community working, trying to educate people and help them improve their quality of life. I have experience being in the city council. I was the chief of staff of 2 city council presidents, and I'm holistically committed to trying to make New Orleans be as best as it can be. I would sincerely appreciate you all listening to all that we have to say tonight. And at the end of the night, if you have any questions for me, I would love to be able to answer them. I am intent on making sure that I hear the people's voices, and I'm the kind of councilman that you will be proud of. I'm J.H. Banks, and my number on the ballot is number 64.
I'm enthusiastically running for District B. Locally, I'm a criminal defense attorney, and I've worked in that field for about 14 years. Some of my passions are criminal justice reform, bringing leadership to City Hall, and of course bringing transparency and trying to make a more efficient government. I served on the Orleans Parish School Board for 8 years, from 2008 to 2016, 2 years as the chair, and I hope to take that same kind of energy to City Council to help improve New Orleans. I sit on a number of boards, philanthropy boards, education boards around the city, so I'm hoping that experience and that insight will help me guide me on City Council. I really appreciate everyone having me out tonight. Thank you so much.
But it's not only events. What about all those tweets to send, and calls to Congress to make, and blogs to read and write, and documentaries to watch, and podcasts to listen to and produce, and talk shows to call into? How can we participate in democracy when being an effective citizen is an unpaid full-time job, and we barely have time to work a job or two to pay our bills? That's where I come in. I want to be your full-time citizen. Now, don't expect me to be professional. I'm gonna send you video from Mardi Gras and Decadence. I didn't go to journalism school, and even though I've gone to school for many years, I'm mostly a self-taught man. I never went to business school to study marketing and sales as an independent contractor, yet that is what I do for a living. I do tabling events, internet marketing, and canvassing for political issues and energy-related home improvements like solar energy. I never took a course in agriculture, but I have a small urban farm. Even editing video like the one you're watching is something I learned on my own. I haven't majored in political science, yet I get involved in politics to the best of my ability as a citizen. To be most effective at getting the right people in power and policies in place through research, activism, and journalism, I need more time. And that means money. And that's where you come in. Buy my freedom. Buy my freedom so that I can free you from the media monopoly. So that we can free our minds from the shackles of the aristocratic fascist propaganda at the local level right here in New Orleans. Hire me as your full-time citizen. Over the past decade, content has been collected of meetings, events, marches, debates, etc., with the intention of editing them into watchable, short, informative videos. But then I end up not having the time to edit and post. The type of job I have allows me to make my own schedule and work less on occasion, but at the expense to my income. The more I work, the more money I make. The less I work, the less money I make. The opportunity cost of being involved in politics and journalism is real money in the form of time that I am spending. At the $1 a month level, watch the show. At the $3 a month level, send me your content from the events we attend together, and I'll edit you in. At the $5 a month level, get behind the scenes content and bloopers. At the $10 a month level, get the TableTV mug. At the $20 a month level, get the mug and t-shirt. $1,000 per month would buy me enough time and freedom to continue collecting the video content from the few events I attend and edit them into watchable and informative monthly reports and maintain a calendar of events on my webpage. The videos and calendar would get you informed and plugged into local progressive activism and politics in New Orleans. $2,000 per month would buy me part-time freedom from my paying job, which would free me to produce a second show per month and collect twice the content by attending more events. $3,000 per month would buy enough time and freedom that the show becomes weekly. I would have regular meetings, call-in discussions, and interviews. $5,000 or more per month buys total freedom. I quit my job, move into a bigger space, hire staff, and start a worker-owned media activist commune. We host events daily and produce 2 shows per week. Thank you for your patronage and join the revolution at TableTV.net.
Here they come.
Democracy looks like. How y'all feeling, New Orleans? This is only possible because each and every one of you showed up. Each and every one of you showed that you care, that you're ready for a political revolution. Thank you, New Orleans.
My sisters around me are Muslim. Our sisters amongst you are Muslim.
This is amazing.
Look at this.
We did it.
Check it out.
This is what democracy looks like.
The crowd just keeps growing and growing.
About you, all of us, we are here. This is what showing up looks like. We are here. I just love it. I love it that we're not online. We don't have to deal with trolls. We are with like-minded activists. We are doing it.
Speak up, stand up, show up. Say it back to me. Speak up, stand up, show up. One more time. Speak up, stand up, show up. Thank you so much. Let's have a great march.
Larry,
the Table Guy and Andre getting ready to ride on the electric scooter and march all the way to City Hall. Here we go. Here they are coming out of Washington Square and going down Elysians. I'm going to take a shortcut, see if I can get to the front of this thing. Alright, so here I am on the corner of St. Philip and Charters, and you can see the protest up there. And the protest is still in Washington Square Park as we speak. It looks like this protest is going to go all the way from Washington Square Park all the way to City Hall. But I'm on my electric scooter, so I'm going to try to get out in front of this thing. But I think I can go all the way to Duncan Plaza and still not be in front of it. It's that big. And here we are on Decatur. And it's as far as the eye can see in both directions. Just goes on and on and on. Here we are at Jackson Square. Alright, we're here at the corner of Bienville and Decatur. And you can see I still haven't made it to the front. This thing is huge. Still coming around the corner. Here we are at Duncan Plaza, and I rode my trusty electric scooter here to get ahead of the crowd. The crowd is right over